Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. I'm Cody from Mr. 4am Builds, and this is episode 3 of our above average small outfeed compact table dust collection, whatever the hell name that we're gonna find it. And in this episode, I need to figure out how I'm gonna fit all of that dust collection inside of here. Let's get into it. I do have a sketch of how I think all this is gonna fit in there, but will it really? I don't know, we're basement carpenters. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this and I'm gonna put it all inside the table, and then I'm just gonna move it around and see where I can get it to go. With the dust collector now inside of the Outfeed table, I'm actually pretty curious on how the adding attachments and splitting it off is gonna affect the airflow. So what I've done is I've gotten an airspeed meter and I've taped this little piece onto the end of it, and then that'll just keep my distance set even so I can go around and I can check it, and it'll even be, I'm even curious to use like on my different shop vacs and things like that just to see how the airflow is affected. Being that this dust collector is only a single stage, what I'm using to make it a 2-stage is a smaller brute garbage can, and PowerTech actually sells a kit that you can put on the top of it, and then that'll direct the air in and then direct the air out, so all the heavier stuff is gonna fall to the bottom, and then the majority of the dust should, in theory, get caught in that can, and that's what I can empty out. So here, what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take their template, I'm gonna tape it on there, and I'm gonna cut out the holes for the pieces that go on top. Now what I'm gonna do for this part is I think I'm just gonna take a sharp knife and I'm gonna trim around like this and pretty much just score the top, and then I will use my jigsaw to cut that out. I think that'll work out all right. It's a pretty good little score mark on both of those. Put the jigsaw in, I think we should be good. These bolts seem to fit on here pretty good. I like how everything looks, so I'm just gonna clean up these edges a little bit, and then we can bolt them on. I think my cuts are pretty good, but the top is a little bit off on some spots where it's like, goes down here. So what I'm gonna do is on the top pieces, I'm just gonna throw a little silicone right around the top ring, and then when I tighten it all up, it should squish it out pretty good. These are pretty simple to put on the top pieces or your straight pieces, and then inside, you just direct it the opposite direction. Just like that. Now we just gotta do the other side. So I did go through and I put a little gasket on the top of the garbage can just so that I can get a better seal. But it won't seal properly. So you win some, you lose some. Guess we're gonna live with that. I'm pretty excited now to take this piece and I'm gonna put it in here, and then I'm going to hook everything up. I'm gonna cut those and then I'm gonna put them on there, and then I can see how it works, and I can do a little pressure testing again. So now that I have this whole thing set up, I've taped off the bottom T on here, and I'm kind of curious. I just really want to see how much just the one duct can still pull. About 13.5. When it was just the hose, it was at 20, and now it's dropped down to 13.5. That's running through the can and through the 1T. For this job site table saw, the outlet port is down here on the bottom, and the only problem with that is that when you tilt the blade, that whole assembly slides. I don't think that the bigger cabinet saws do that, but I don't have one, so I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a pencil on there, and I'm going to trace the mark, and then I will trace and I will cut that out, and then that's where my adapter will be. Then on the inside in the table, that is where the flexible hose is going to move. It'd probably be a little bit more ideal to have it on the outside if I had more room in that back room and just like let this hang over more and have the blast gate out here, but I just don't have that space. So we're just going to make a deal with what we got. Turned out to be a mildly inappropriate image, but I digress. Gonna use the jigsaw and trim it out. Probably could have done without the splintering, but that is on the side that faces the table saw, so I mean, it is what it is. So here my microphone decided not to work, so I'm explaining how I used a 2.5-inch coupler right here, and I have it tightened on, and then I use a 4 to 2.5-inch reducer. This is the main blast gate for the table saw, which will be on 99% of the time. It will be a pain to reach, but it's going to be in here and it's going to be on all the time, so I'm not too worried about it. Here I'm going to install a blast gate for the rare occasion when I do use a planer or a joiner. I'm gonna wait before I put this blast kit onto the outside, but that's all I'm gonna do is put the clamp on, it's gonna slide over, gonna clamp on, and then I have longer screws that are gonna drill straight into the wood. I don't wanna put that on now because I'm not sure how much of this I'm gonna have to take apart to get it into the table saw room. For me to be able to reach the blast gate for the table saw, I'm going to have to cut in a access door right here, and that's all I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it on some hinges so that it can fold down. I can reach in there and close that blast gate if need be, and then fold it back up. And again, I don't feel like I'm really going to have to do that very much since this is mostly just going to be used for table saw. And when I can, that's why I like to leave that little bit just connected so that I know that these hinges and that door are going to open perfect. I knew these were going to stick out a little bit. That's okay. I'll probably either grind them off or just put a little bit of caulk on the back of them. It'll be just fine. Now that I got my little trap door over here cut, it was supposed to fold down, but it folds this way. What are you going to do? I'm just going to clamp this on. I'm going to screw these sides on because these two sides are the sides that I can keep together. And then I'm going to disassemble the whole thing. Take it into the room. With everything installed, I want to go through it. I'm going to take a reading on the actual airflow. I went through on the inside and I closed the one valve that goes to the table saw. So this one is the only one that's open, and see how good it sucks. Showing that it's taking the airspeed is 15 miles an hour in. I feel it's pretty good considering with no restrictions. I think it was like 22 or 23. So I guess we'll never really know until we hook it up, but I think it's pretty promising. So the time has finally come that I'm very excited about, and I'm going to disassemble this and then move it into its final resting place and finally get this mess of a shop cleaned up. But I know you probably don't want to help me move it because nobody really wants to throw their back out for pizza and beer. So because that whole movie magic thing, we got her in here, boys. But before we go over all the features, let me show you first how I installed the top. Hey dummy, why have a microphone if you're not going to use it? So what I meant to say here is that I probably should have had the side off before I put the top on, but who cares? Before I screwed the top down, there was a few final small little details I had to finish up. I had to drill a hole for the power for the dust collector to come out. I also squared the table up to the saw, and then I squared the top to the base itself. And now I'm gonna go contort myself and screw the top in. Cool. Good job, you big dumb shit. You put the long pocket hole screws through the top. We're so close. Now that I've gone through and I've fixed the spot where my little happy accident happened, I've popped the side back on. It's time to go check this thing out. Come on. Wow. It's pretty cool. Now that you've seen the montage, why don't I bring you in closer for a look at some of the features. It's got a little door so you can reach in and close the blast gate to the main table saw. Speaking of blast gates, there's a second one over here on the side for the use of a planer or a joiner. A notch cut out so the dust collection still works even when the blade's on a 45-degree angle. We got dog holes down the one side and down the back side. I clip this corner so your boy can get through. Leveling feet on all four corners. We got remote control dust collection. It's not very loud either. I'm pretty impressed with the quietness of it being encapsulated inside of that, inside of the table. We got a nice, smooth, shiny top. Helps reduce any friction. A nice Benjamin Moore gray finish that matches the rest of my shop. And also the top is set just down from the table saw so that it goes down, maybe only a 1/16 or so we don't get any bindage right there on the edge. So that's a wrap on our compact Outfeed dust collection table thingamajigger. It was a single stage. I added a second stage by putting the bucket in there. Is that bucket going to be a pain in the butt to change? Absolutely. You're going to have to go around, take all the screws off all four corners, carefully lift the lid off, pull the bucket out with any of the fittings coming undone. But with it always being set up and ready available, I think the juice is worth the squeeze because it's -5 outside today, so we wouldn't be doing any work anyway. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Hope you learned something, or at least were entertained. In the meantime, get out there, buy cool tools, build cool stuff, tell your friends about it. See ya. What do you got going right now? Are you ready for dinner?
I'm gonna go shower real quick.